evening and welcome to Resolutions for Recovery. This show is dedicated to the empowerment and education of all people struggling with substance use disorder, and really is for anyone in the general public. We are dealing with a tremendous epidemic, especially with heroin and opiate use. However, the substance is really unimportant. We really need to tune into that because in a few years, heroin and opiates may be a thing of the past, God willing, and it'll be something else on the horizon. Substance use disorder is a mind disease, so it's been proven, that's been proven scientifically. So we just need to remember that it's that people are they're sick and struggling with a disease. They're not bad people. They're not making moral choices not to do the right thing. So tonight, my good friend Terry is here. And we're going to talk about really, we have some exciting things coming up. Thursday evening, tomorrow evening here on Long Island in Suffolk County, our good buddy, Dr. Jeff Reynolds, will be doing a advocacy class on how to talk to your legislators because we have to change the way the law is. We have to change the way insurance companies do business. We have to make some changes.
And that course takes away that fear of talking to the political society. Because I know when I started to advocate, Jeff took me under his wing and actually taught me the proper way to go up to Albany and to make your request and be heard and to help to make change. Because you know what? We're the ones that are going to make the change. The people who work in Albany are, you know, we always hear, oh, they're elected, we pay them, blah, 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 whatever. That's true, but it's the whole state that pays them. So it's all of us that have to.
It's all of us. It's the
efforts.
Constituents. It's the, you know, find out who your local legislators
Right.
are, your state, you know, you need to know all levels.
And you need to go to Albany armed.
You do.
Yeah.
But you also need to go and be professional. Know, you know, you need to be concise, right? Not tell a long story because, and this is just a general statement, most people don't have an attention span that continues on.
Right, you have to snip it.
You got to, you know, you really got to hit it.
But you have to be concise. So, you
Yes.
know, when we, of course, we're following that up with the trip to Albany on Tuesday, the 13th. So anyone and everyone is invited to go on that trip.
And you don't have to speak.
Exactly.
But there's strength in numbers.
Strength in numbers. And if you want to speak, yes. But just know what we're going up there and we're asking for change. So what are we asking for when we go up this time? What did we ask for that we already have achieved and the government has helped us to achieve, helped us to make those changes? Those are the things you want to know and you want to understand. And there's a 3-hour bus ride to ask questions. Never feel intimidated and walk with somebody who's already walked the walk and talked the talk.
Yes.
You know, I just met with Anthony Rizzuto this morning, and I said, you know, make sure that I'm with the group that there are people who have never done this before and could be intimidated.
Correct.
That I'll sit by that mom or dad or brother or sister or
Yes.
person in recovery and help them through it, because I've been there, done that, I understand it. I know people up there and they know my story. They need to know your story. They need to know why you want this change. After you take the course with Jeff, or you read about how to make a bill, the old Schoolhouse Rock
Exactly.
video, taught me
So
much in a little span of time that I actually realized, you know what, my vote is as important as people say it is, and my voice is as important as the next person's is. And especially if I go up there with knowledge of what I want and what my community needs. It's not just me, it's the 56 people that get on the bus with me. We're all up there for the same reason.
Yes.
We will be heard and we will be listened to. It's one thing to be heard, it's another thing to be understood and see action. And I've seen action since the beginning of
Absolutely.
doing this.
I mean, actually, there's been a tremendous amount of things accomplished
right.
in the last 4 years, but we can't stop. We have to keep our foot on the gas.
Exactly.
And, you know, when you're struggling as a family member, as a person who does struggle, it's important to feel that you can give back to society also.
There's a certain amount that's cathartic.
Yes, and you don't want to see other people struggle and suffer with the same
We always say we don't
things.
want anyone in our club.
Right.
We've lost children to this disease.
Correct.
I want to be sure that the next family, my grandchildren growing up, are growing up in a healthier environment and an environment that is prepared to treat this disease and
As a
avoid the
disease.
disease. Yes,
Right.
exactly. So when our children were going through this, was there the person that was going to Albany and asking for these changes? Was there the person that was saying, let me help help your kid? No.
No,
So
there was
these are the
nothing.
things we work hard for.
Yes.
Because we've experienced it and because we know what the change needs to be. So when you go into Albany or you go into your local legislator's office, they know you've been there. You know, I have a young friend who's a legislator in Nassau County. You know
Yes,
Josh.
Josh.
Josh and I have been friends since Josh was in 10th grade. And Josh told me he was going to be in this position by the time he was 24, the day I met him. And I know Josh is going to listen to people like myself and yourself and know what it is that he needs to put his generational impact on
Correct.
and make the changes we need to make. So you have to have that conversation back and forth about your topic. And we can all sit around at a political event and talk about what color the sidewalks need to be painted. To someone, that's very important.
Do you remember? I mean, we were up there that year fighting for insurance change, and they were voting on should the state snack be an apple or yogurt.
Exactly.
So infuriating to us, but not
Important
to
to
the
someone
dairy
else.
farmers.
Right.
Right? So, you know, everybody gets their turn, everybody gets heard.
And this particular subject,
It's a
is
hot
new to them.
topic. And it's
people
a hot
coming
topic.
up and talking about it is new.
Yeah.
When my son passed away, when your son passed away, oh my gosh, come to Albany and talk about it, go to Washington and talk about it. Nobody did that.
Right.
Now it's on the forefront, and so the government has to listen.
They do have
And
to
they have
listen.
to react. We can't keep losing people the way we're losing people. So when you and I walk into Senator Hannon's office or into our local legislator's office, and we concisely say why we're there, I think you'll agree with me. The head might snap up from what the memo
Yes.
they're reading, because they're only half paying attention to me. And then when I say what I'm there for, and they know I mean what I mean,
Yes.
I get more attention, that I mean it, that I'm a person that's experienced this. It's a different, I don't want to say respect, but it's a different reaction.
No, I would say respect is the word, you know,
I-
or acceptance.
Yes.
You know,
A number of years ago when we were
they're not
we
going
were
to
up in
take,
Albany-
they don't take us lightly.
No. When we were in Albany and the Senate was voting on the I-STOP law, Avi and I and a couple of other families were there. We were invited on the Senate floor downstairs. We weren't in the balcony. We were invited right on the floor. We stood in a little alcove. It was a fireplace type of an alcove. There was 5 or 6 families. And of course the vote was unanimous because we knew it was the right thing to do.
Yes.
And we fought for it, and there was a lot of background to that. And when it voted unanimously in the Senate, I can tell you, I would say 100%, but I don't know it was 100%. I'll say 98% of those senators came around and thanked every one of us for our efforts, knowing that our efforts were difficult for us. It's not easy to go up to Albany and talk about the biggest loss that you've ever had in your life.
Correct.
And the biggest loss your child ever had is ultimately, you and I both talk about we lost our children, but more importantly, and more impactfully, my son lost his life. Thomas lost his life, and that's what we're talking
And
about.
in the interim of struggling with that disease, their life was not easy.
Exactly.
Their life was hard. You know, that's what people need to hear. That was not a choice. They didn't choose.
No, they suffered.
They suffered tremendously. So, you know, you can argue that all day long, but if you haven't experienced it, then, you know.
And I think we're at a point now, in New York anyway, after having gone up there for a number of years, and we went up and we
Well,
saw
Governor
legislators.
Cuomo is very much familiar with the subject.
Yes.
And it is a very passionate topic for him.
And we've changed minds of other legislators.
Yes, absolutely.
You and I have been in offices where we've
Yes.
been told, oh, your kid should have known better than to take that
Yeah.
prescription. My kid, who didn't go to medical school. So our reaction was heard.
Yes.
And we changed some people's minds. And I want to say we changed their minds, but I think we made them see how important this topic is and how important their vote is. It's not about how they feel. It's about what's happening in the community.
It's what's happening to their constituents in their
Exactly.
neighborhood,
Right.
in every neighborhood in New York State, in every neighborhood in the United
And
States.
sometimes in their own families.
And sometimes in their own families. I mean, God bless Senator Flanagan for coming public
Exactly.
and sharing his struggle, and that was not an easy thing for him to do.
Right.
But does that make him anything less than who he is?
Of course not.
Absolutely not. I think it lifts him up just a little bit more.
And that makes people realize
It can happen to
Timothy
anybody.
was a college graduate
Yes.
with a 3.7 average. Thomas was going places. He was lacrosse.
Yes.
Lacrosse, right? Wrestling. I mean, really?
He was 21 years old, for
Right.
God's sakes.
And
he
I
didn't
don't
even get a chance.
I don't even care if it was a person who was stocking shelves or their lives
Their
are
lives
important.
mattered. Their lives mattered to their families.
Right.
Their loss impacted tremendous number of people.
And the government is seeing it now. They have to.
They have to see it. It's not it's a bipartisan issue. It affects human lives.
Right.
It's not Democrats or Republicans.
Exactly.
It's not anything. But you need to be able to share your personal tidbit concisely with and impactfully.
And two, realize that at the end of the day, we're up there for 6-7 hours, and we're going from an office to an office to an office, and we're telling a different person our own personal experience. And in the beginning, to me, I thought, oh, geez, they're not even going to listen to me. But I may, at the end of the day, say, oh, I've said this 6 times. It's exhausting for me. It is not exhausting. You're sitting in front of a different audience.
Yes, absolutely.
So every time your story is just as important as it was 15 minutes ago at a different senator's office or a different assemblywoman's office. It's the same impact. You're talking to a different audience, and you have to realize that and have to have the same passion that you have
And
at
stamina.
10 o'clock, at
And-
3:30.
And if you don't have it by the end of the day, let someone else
Exactly,
speak. It's
right,
okay.
right.
It's not, it's not mandatory that you speak.
No.
But when you go up there and you show it's solidarity. It's coming together as a group and
you go
telling
into
them
a
we're
room with-
not going to take this anymore.
Right. When you go into a senator's room with 15 people, and Senator Boyle he's wonderful. He
is
sees
so
the
wonderful.
issues. He promotes the issues, and he gets things done. And I have sat with him many times at his conference table with 15 people, and
Mm-hmm.
he knows I'm from Long Island. We've spoken a lot. I don't have to speak at that meeting. Senator Boyle, how are you? We're up here
Yes.
again. We need something else. He listens, and he listens with an open ear and an open heart, and
Yes, he does.
always calls in somebody who will get something done.
Yes.
And he will never, ever turn you away. That's most assembly and senators. Most of them feel that way. Yes, they're busy, but if they give me 5 minutes or they give me 55 minutes, it doesn't matter. Your concise message can be said in 5 minutes, and in 55 minutes, we can get that much more done.
Absolutely.
If it's 5 minutes, we'll follow up with you.
Yes.
And I will tell people,
And-
follow up with a letter, follow up with a fax, follow up with an email, whatever.
A letter, a fax, an email.
Phone call to their assistants.
Visit them in your local office
Yeah.
then. Go back and follow up again. I was in Albany,
Right.
go. You have to be consistent. You have to stay on the topic because they're dealing with an awful lot of topics and you want yours at the top.
And we could, I know that we have to talk to our own officials, but you and I will go up to Albany and talk to senators from all over New York State.
Of course.
Who are in a committee and on the same platform as us, and hear us from Long Island, and Avi from Buffalo, and Susan from Westchester, and Donna Mae from Staten Island, and they're hearing it over
Yes.
and over and over again, and
They're
they're
hearing the
actually
same
getting
story.
the things done. Right. And as a committee, now we're one step further.
Yes.
You know, we're not listening to somebody who says, oh, I think that's on so-and-so's agenda. We're getting to the
Yes.
point where we're listening, we're speaking to the committee, not just the single person. And that takes a little maneuvering with somebody who knows how to get around the officials. We're with Jeff.
Jeff Reynolds.
Jeff will give you your appointments and tell you should see, and he'll give you the rah-rah before you get off the bus, and listen to him. He's been doing this for years.
He's been doing it for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
He has been, he's a leader on Long Island.
Right.
So Thursday night, I think it's 6:30 at Thrive.
6:30 to 8:30.
At Thrive, the recovery
In Hop
center
Hog.
right over here in Hop Hog on South Service Road on Motor Parkway. And then on Tuesday, the bus will leave, I believe, at 5:30 in Comac.
I think it's 5:30, right? And we'll leave from the Service Road Park and Ride.
Park and Ride
At Comac Road.
Comac Road.
Right, on the south side of Comac Road. And then we'll go to
Christopher Morley Park in Nassau County.
Mineola, and we'll pick up anybody from Nassau County. So definitely go on Facebook and register.
We're going to have we'll have the
Yeah. Click on the link
flyers
and
up.
register for sure.
Register.
No
And
charge.
no
The bus
charge.
is free.
Bring
You
your
go up
lunch
there,
if
bring
you'd
your lunch,
like.
Bring some snacks.
Yeah.
You know, bring a good book to read on the bus if you want, and I think you can bring a DVD even.
Yes,
have
you
a
can.
DVD
But you know
player.
what? It's a great day.
Yeah.
If you're struggling in your family with this disease, it's very comforting to be around other people walking your walk, and
And feeling empowered.
and feeling empowered, and doing something for your loved one.
I spent, let's see, 5 months after Timothy passed away without talking to anybody, doing anything. Not, I was going to work and coming home, and
Yeah.
we were cooking dinner. That was about it. My husband and myself and my daughter and her husband. And then I was introduced to advocating, and it's so cathartic. I wasn't, as they say, thrown under the bus, Terry Kroll get up there and talk about everything that happened on August 29th. I was guided into it very gently, and always, always, with the group that we're with, everybody watches out for everybody.
Absolutely.
If somebody saw me lagging or not really with it or cohesive, somebody came over and said something to me. And that's what this group is about. We're not about going up and standing on the stairs and screaming and hollering. We're about going in, telling our experiences, which is our experiences we want no one else from our community to go through.
Correct.
And if they are going through it, we want to know there's support. And there's legal things that we can do to get them that support.
Absolutely.
And we've done that over the years, the 911 Good Samaritan law, the ISTUP law, the
ISTUP,
insurance laws.
the
We've
access
made
to
these changes, the
treatment.
Narcan on every...
Doctor's
in every
education.
EMT, doctor's education. There are so many things, so many strides we've made over what really is a short period of time.
Very short period of
Yeah.
time. The time has
And-
passed in 2012 and
Right.
2014.
Yeah.
That was 13 bills that
Exactly.
got passed.
Right.
Because my son was told, yeah, you're not high enough for treatment.
Exactly.
You got to fail.
And when you say, I know for a fact, when I took Narcan training, I was with, and being trained, Dr. Jan, Dr. Reynolds, myself, my husband, and a couple of other people. And the nurse from New York City came out to train us with the idea that we were going to start training the public to have
Use Narcan.
Narcan. And then I actually had
And
to
then
use
and then it was the intramuscular injection.
Right, exactly. And then I had to use it one time at an intersection and couldn't believe how it worked. But at the time, Suffolk County Police Department had a pilot program. So I thought every police officer was armed with Narcan. Pilot program in Suffolk County. I thought all of Suffolk County is doing it so then the rest of the state can follow.
Right.
That was my thought. I didn't know it was only a
Small.
handful of Suffolk County officers. So here I am in a car getting ready to administer Narcan, and the police officer came up. So I thought,
Oh, good.
I'm
He can do it.
Right. Let me step back
Yeah.
and let the professionals come in, the EMS people, and I handed him the Narcan kit. and realized he didn't know what he was doing because he was not trained. So I took my other kit and I administered it. And that's when I made a phone call and said, why, what's going on? I thought Suffolk County and Attorney General Schneiderman followed through with that. And in a short period of time, it was so gratifying to get a phone call, to be told that you're advocating and you're coming to us and saying, why isn't everybody trained? Made him put through a policy that every EMS responder, every emergency responder was trained in New York State. And the Narcan is in every car, every squad car,
Excellent.
every ambulance.
Yep.
But that happened because we spoke out.
Yep.
So it's not only we're going up to advocate and we're going to ask things, it's very gratifying to get a phone call and say,
It's
Mrs.
done.
Kroll, would you like to come to a press conference because of you,
Right.
this has gone through. And to actually get thanked. It's not about being on TV or anything like that. It's about the officials saying it's people in the community who speak up about things that are happening in their community
And
that
so
make change.
the old adage goes, you can bitch, moan, and complain at home. You can do all of that, but you need to be willing to step up. What are you willing to do for your community? So
Exactly.
these are our children, our grandchildren, their children. We want to create the world that you want to be in. So if we don't make the change, who's going to make the change?
And, I'm just thinking, I know we're talking about advocacy, and I am not a big social media debater. I see things on social media, I might comment on something, but
I
I
like
don't
to
post
post
a lot.
recipes.
Exactly, and I post my grandchildren. But 2 days ago, I did post something, and I have to find out how to advocate for this and how to not let this happen. The idea of marijuana being legalized for recreational use makes me feel ill. And what I think about is I think about it being generational. And so I think about the generation that thinks it's okay for me to smoke recreationally. It should be legal. I shouldn't have to think I'm breaking the law. But wait a minute. That generation are parents. So you think it's okay that it's made legal and you're allowed to get high and use marijuana that you don't know if it's safe or not. And to me, none of it's safe.
None of it's safe.
But so we legalize it. Where are your children in this picture? Are you thinking about the next generation? I hope you are. And then I think to
It's
myself,
very hard to do prevention. First off, alcohol is still the number one killer.
right.
Still
And
the number one
that's
killer.
a response that I get is, well, alcohol is legal. I never said it should be.
It's legal. It's not legal for a 14-year-old to drink.
Right.
It's legal for any person
But even
over
marijuana
the age
shouldn't
of
be legal
21.
for anybody to.
Correct.
And so
Medicinally,
we should have
we're
learned-
not speaking about that.
We should have learned from the idea of alcohol being legal and the ability to abuse it.
So alcohol, state troopers, policemen have the ability to know whether you've been drinking or not. It can be readily apparent. How are we going to equip them to know if someone's driving high? That's a whole nother ballgame. And I saw,
And if it's legal,
right,
if it's legal,
but you still
and the
can't
bus
oper-
driver, the
right.
school bus driver, is someone who uses marijuana, my children,
are getting
my
on that
grandchildren,
bus.
are getting on that bus.
Correct.
So think about the idea
The
of
impact.
legalizing this.
The impact.
Right.
The impact that comes down. Do I want to get in the car with my 3 grandchildren and go to the park and have somebody hit me who's high under the influence
Exactly.
of whatever it is that they are on? So in today's world, every day you open up the newspaper. Who crashed a car? Who flipped a car? Why is there a car in my neighbor's front through the front of their house? Do you think that these people are just losing control of the steering wheel? Of course not. Drugs and alcohol are at the bottom
There's
of
a
that.
percentage that are.
There
But
are a
let's make,
percentage
and
of them.
imagine how many less accidents we would have
Yes.
if it was just that percentage.
Correct. So, we let's face it, they want to do that simply because follow the money. Always follow the money.
Think about the full circle, you're a parent, the ramifications of that. Oh yeah, I'm going to smoke when I get home from work every day. When you get home from work every day, your kids are at the table doing homework, and they know that to you, it's okay to be doing that.
Right.
Not okay. This is
had-
what we'd be teaching our children.
Correct.
And then, I had people come back to me and say, well, medicinally. I didn't say anything about medicinally.
Nothing about
I don't know
medicinally.
enough about it
Correct.
to understand it. But I do
And
know enough
it
about.
has many different uses.
Right. And I do know
medicinally.
enough about controlled substances. So I know the failure over the years of controlled substances.
Absolutely.
So I would hope that with everything we're advocating for and all of these changes that we are advocating for to get the control back of controlled substances, it's going to fall under that in the right way.
Correct.
That's what I would hope for. But to have it be used recreationally it's like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, it is a no-brainer.
So, of course, that would be something that I would want to advocate for, and I would want to go up to Albany for that. And I don't know that anyone's going to listen to me, a 59-year-old woman who's never smoked pot and never understood the feelings of it. So I want to go up there armed with the generations who have smoked and the generations who realize it's wrong. That's where you make a difference.
That's where you make
go
a
up
yes.
armed with people who have experience. I don't have experience, but I do know it's wrong. So I'm going to bring people up who have experience.
But you don't have to have experience to know.
To know it's wrong.
That
Exactly.
when you're working with young children, they're not stupid. So
They're impressionable, but they're not
yes,
stupid.
but we can't give them. You can't speak out of both sides of your mouth.
Right.
With the same message. So if we're going to teach, coping skills and different methods
Exactly.
of preventing them from ever starting, it makes life a little bit more difficult then. So there's so many levels to everything. It impacts life
Right.
dramatically. We'll be right back after this message.
No, I changed the subject a little bit on that, but it's
My age is 18 years old and my name is Evan.
My name is Sean and I'm 19 years old.
My name is Justin, I'm 16.
My name is Angelica. I'm 18 years old.
Marijuana, and I was 13 years old.
Marijuana, and my age was 13.
The first drug I ever tried was marijuana, and I was 12 years old.
It was marijuana and I was 11 years old.
Yes, and that escalated to promethazine, lean.
I began to take pills like Xanax, Percocets.
I began using other substances such as pills and alcohol.
I then went on to cocaine and pills and quickly progressed to heroin. I was 13 years old when I first started using heroin. I had aspirations of going to an Ivy League school, and that quickly, within a year or two, changed. I stopped going to my classes. I stopped going to school altogether eventually. All my friends were kind of just dropping me.
I started getting in trouble in school, eventually kicked out. I got in trouble with the law a lot.
I wasn't really hanging out with a lot of sober people, just people that use. I overdosed at 15. I've been at Outreach for 5 months. Outreach honestly really helps you. It shows that you're honestly worth something. And it's possible to become sober if you put in progress. But it's not just gonna be handed to you, you really have to want to change. Inpatient, you can't just leave. You stay here and you have to deal with it. That's what I feel like a lot of kids need.
In a long-term facility, the counselors get to know the resident better, and they get to actually work with them more than in a short-term 28-day facility. And it really gives kids a chance to work on themselves rather than being rushed through a program, just to be thrown back into life, going back into the same old bad habits that they were doing before.
Coming in here, I couldn't believe how long I would have to be here, but after a couple months, talking to counselors, I kind of came to the realization that I need a lot of time and work to repair everything I've done.
The things that we get taught here, it really does help you in life and it gives you a different perspective. It's very important for a kid to have a family involvement in treatment so they don't think they're alone in this. We communicate on a better basis than how we used to. We understand each other more. And that was from the help of outreach.
They come every Wednesday night for support group. They come to a group every other week.
They come to peer support group to discuss their problems also. My relationship honestly has got a lot better. Because I remember my mom used to never want to say anything to me because she would be scared of my reaction. I'm starting to realize in here, like, I really have to take advantage of the fact that I have her still.
When I was about 14 is when my parents realized that I had several different problems, such as behavioral issues, and the behavioral issues kind of stemmed from my drug use. I began caring less about myself and others. Outreach has really made me realize how important family is. If I was out of state in a program where my parents were not involved, I would have never been able to strengthen my relationship with them. My father told me that I've inspired him to make changes in his life, and that meant a lot to me. I've never heard my dad be inspired by something before, and I was just proud that it was me.
Thank you for joining us. We're back here at Resolutions for Recovery, and there is the flyer for at the advocacy training tomorrow evening at Thrive on Motor Parkway, just south of the South Service Road. You can hit up the Facebook page, and I'll get you the information if you're not quick enough to catch the number, but we'll keep putting the number up there. And Tuesday is the bus to Albany. So, I encourage everyone, even if you just go and you're going to absolutely make a few new friends, and it will be very empowering just to be witness to what goes on there. And, I still remember the day that the governor's office called in 2016 when the other bills passed. And I was home, and I ironically was going through some of Thomas's things. So ironically, or exactly where I was supposed to be.
Exactly, right.
Because, no one dies in vain when a wrong's been done.
Yeah.
So I think that, we have to march forward. Tomorrow's going to come whether we want it to or not. Life goes on.
Exactly. And I keep saying I, and then I mean we. We're in a lifestyle now in our families that I have 2 children. I have my daughter Jamie and my 3 grandsons, and I am there for her 100% of my mothering for her. I have to be there 100% of my mothering for Timothy.
Absolutely.
For the rest of my life, I am Timothy's mother. I will always be Timothy's mother. So there's a job that I accepted on October 1st, 1985, and that job was
Yes.
and will never end for me. That's a lifelong decision I made, and it's not an easy job. And this isn't an easy job. It's
No, it
not
isn't.
easy to go up to Albany and
Bare
pour
your
your heart
soul.
out. Exactly.
Bare your soul
That's
and
not
rip-
an easy thing.
Rip it open again.
Right. But if you're going up with the support of a group of 50 people who are all there to talk about the same thing, it's not that scary. It's
not
cathartic.
scary. You know,
you
make
actually
it-
feels good. I
it
feel like
does.
I'm a good mom. I know I'm a good mom, but I feel like I'm doing what I need to do for Timothy today.
I also think everybody just needs to remember Albany is just a city in the state of New York.
Exactly.
So you go up there, and the legislators that you're going to see put their pants on the same way that you do.
Right.
And they're from your communities. So just talk to them just as you would,
And follow up with the
Yeah.
local meetings. The local meetings,
I think are
Senator
more
Hannan
important.
is in
Yes.
Bayshore. His door's always open. Assemblywoman Kimberly
Senator
Jean-Pierre. Senator
Boyles.
Boyle, excuse me.
Hannan's in
Assemblywoman
Garden
Kimberly
City.
Jean-Pierre. She lives at the end, her office is at the end of my daughter's block. And I pass by there every day, and I stop in often. And I don't always stop in because I'm looking for something. Sometimes I
stop in
just
to
stop
say
in
hello.
to see what their activity is.
Yes.
You're doing a fundraiser for this? Oh, I want to be involved in that. Has nothing to do with
It's being,
drugs or this epidemic. It could be collecting backpacks for school-age kids. I'm a community member, and I want to know that who my community leaders are.
Again,
And that they're doing what we all need to be doing.
In our communities, we need to start circulating
Yes.
again. You know, everybody's very much in their own world. Technology has replaced too much human interaction.
absolutely.
So get out into your community and find out what's going on and see how you never know when you're going to be the one that needs the help.
Right.
So just do the next right thing for your neighbors, right? And your friends and your own
And
community.
it's your community.
Make
I
it what
never
you
want
want
to
it
live
to
in a
be.
community that I don't know who lives next door to me on either side of my house, that I can at least say hello to them on a daily basis. And I also want to know who's meeting in the town hall. What's going on within the town?
Correct.
Yes, I can read social media, but I can also read the debates that are on social media. Or I can go down and make my own
Correct.
decisions.
But you know, everything is skewed on social media.
Exactly.
And gee, imagine this. I know this may be shocking for many people. It's not always true what's on the internet. I know, shocking.
Yeah.
But
There was no tsunami the other day.
correct. Just go and see.
part of your community.
You know, it may be something that really catches your attention and your passion, and it can be a family activity.
Right.
So
Never expect from your community leaders what you wouldn't do yourself if you were in that
Correct.
position. So, you know, I come from a family that volunteered in the fire department. My son-in-law's in the fire department. And I respect that they volunteer, and I know what they do, and I respect
and the
that.
time that's taken away from their own family.
Exactly. Because a person has become an elected official and gets a paycheck doesn't mean they're not working hard to be in that position. And so I want to know that the person that I'm going up to meet hears me, and I'm going to follow through and be sure that changes are made. Listen, there's times that I think things should be, and not necessarily should they be. So there should be that debate back and forth.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad to know that I can sit around a round table, and debate that with my elected officials, with insurance representatives, with other families,
It's
with
not
people in treatment.
as straightforward sometimes as you think it should be, because it's their job and their staff's job to put all the little nuances in
Exactly.
that we don't think through.
Right.
Because there are ramifications for everything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be done in alignment with all the other dominoes that are lined up.
How many times do you see people complain about, I want a stop sign on my corner? Okay, well, they have to do why do they have to do a study? I know we need a stop sign. Okay, but you know what, there's a lot that goes into just a stop sign on your corner.
Yes.
Sounds like a no big deal, no brainer. Hammer it in and it's good. That's not necessarily true. So respect
Correct.
the fact that they have to do their due diligence.
I get aggravated that they're going to do more, heroin and opiate task force meetings and listening forums. It's part of the law.
Right.
That has to be all the backup. Yes, they do know that there's a problem. Everybody knows that there's a problem.
Right.
But it's part of the record. It's part of what has to be done.
And there's so many things that are being done that we don't even realize
Correct.
have to do with that. For instance, in Copeg, they just built an apartment center right along the railroad, and people were complaining. Now, do you realize, okay, the apartments were there to help house people who are being housed in basements and not good living environments. But on my field and in what I advocate for, it took a dark, dingy part of our town and made it a vibrant, well-lit, well-landscaped part of town that the drug dealing that was going on in that area is not happening because it's so well-lit and the police department are seeing what's happening. Respect the fact that the police do see what goes on, but they have to do their due diligence. They have to get their evidence before they can arrest who you think should be arrested.
Well, I did see the district attorney, Sinny, his press conference today. But when he was the police commissioner, when he changed that each precinct, you can go and complain there. There's not one office that does
Right.
it. So you see something, say something, always. Even if you have an inkling, it doesn't matter. Say something. That's how change is made. But today, we now will have the MS-13, a gang task force, coming out of the district attorney's office. But he said, again, federal, And this goes for anything. So drugs, federally, on a state level, on a local level, we all have to work together. And whoever can build the best case, this is how things are done in the world today.
And if you know, I guess it's about, children are in their 30s, so it's got to be 20 years ago. There was somebody living 2 doors down from me dealing drugs. And I called the police department and I said, look, this is happening. How can I help? And this was long before Tim was prescribed, long before the epidemic was so prevalent here on Long Island. And I met with them, or they met with me and a couple of other of my neighbors in a remote area at the firehouse, and so that my neighbor wouldn't know we were meeting with the police department.
Correct.
We worked with them for 6 months. I literally took pictures of my tulips in my front lawn, and I zoomed my lens to take pictures of the license plates. And I didn't put myself in harm's way, and I gave those license plates to the detective. And they used that in their investigations, and an arrest finally happened. But the patients that are involved, being the person that's living 2 doors down, are so necessary. You have to understand they're building up their evidence. They can't just go and knock on someone's door and say, someone told us you're doing this, so
Correct.
we're coming in. So we have to respect the fact that the laws are there for a reason, but eventually there's that arrest. And-
Absolutely. You wouldn't want somebody busting in.
Right. And the police department is not going to come and tell you, Timothy reported Seiji Francis. They took all our information, and we didn't hear from them until 3 months after Timothy died that he was being arrested for Timothy having given them that information. I didn't think they went anywhere with it.
Correct. And that's the frustration that I think many people
Exactly,
see.
yes.
It's not getting done again, not
Right.
this year. Listen, we were disappointed last year that the patient brokering bill didn't go through.
Right.
That things didn't happen. It's an election year. So, the public needs to understand an election year, a lot more things get done.
Exactly.
Because they need to have their record shiny for you to vote them in again. It's a great time to go up.
This is the time to actually push for what you want done. And, there are people who are going to say, just because it's an election year, he's going to do this. But you know what? I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
I do not care.
It's how the game is played. You
Right.
can call it whatever you want to call it. It's how business gets done.
Exactly.
So
And
don't
hey,
get
go
sidetracked.
vote. Go vote. If you don't agree
Absolutely.
with the fact that it took 2 years to do this instead of a year, then vote the way
Then
you
don't-
feel you
exactly.
should vote. Or
Or run against them.
exactly.
Or help find the candidate that's going to do a better job.
Right.
But you can't sit on the sidelines
And complain.
and complain if you're not willing to stand up and do something. Doesn't have to be a big thing.
And you know what? There are people who cannot get on that bus.
Correct.
There are people who cannot go to Albany and sit there and speak about their
For
experience.
many different things. They
Right.
may have to work.
Exactly.
And you can't take
But
a
there's
day
nothing
off.
to say that you can't call me up on my cell phone, 631-786-4026, and tell me how you feel. Terry, you're going on the bus next week. Could you add my name to the list and say, that you spoke with me? Of course I will. Of course I will. Because that's one more person.
Any messages can come through Thomas's Hope Foundation Facebook page.
Right.
Those messages will go up to Albany.
Of course.
With who, and we'll share your story. And that's okay that you're not there.
Exactly. And if you can't get on the bus to Albany, maybe you can go visit locally. Visiting locally is as, if not the same,
Or more.
right, the same impact.
It's very easy to get in your car and drive 10 minutes, 5 days a week. And the
Right.
squeaky hinge gets the oil.
Exactly.
So remember that. The more times that you show up, the more that they get to recognize you.
Right.
They're going to say, they'll either say, oh, this pain in the neck is back again. But that's how you get
That's
action.
funny that you say that, because sometimes I think, and I say it in their ear, when someone comes up and hugs me, oh, Terry, how are you? You're such a great person. You do so much good work. I actually say, really? Do you really think that? Or are you just saying that just so I'm not a pain in the ass? Excuse me. But, I think that, but I know that I have to keep talking this talk because it is making change.
You know what, though? That's last year, Senator Flanagan, while talking about me, said, oh, you all know her. You've all seen her in the hallways.
Right.
And everybody recognized it. And that's okay. I'm good with that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm good with,
Because
I don't
you
care
know
if you
what?
think I'm a pain in the
I'm
neck.
not going to
I
back
will still
down.
be there, right.
I'm going to say, I'm going to
Yeah.
stand in my truth, and you will
I
come along
decided to
with
be a
my
mom
thought process.
in 1982. And when
Right.
I decided to be a mom, it was for life. This is my mom job, and I will not quit.
Right.
I will not quit.
Absolutely.
We've gone to Washington. We testify at the FDA. Was I scared? Of course I was. Did I think they were going to listen to me? Of course I didn't. Do I know they heard me? Yes, I do. I do know. And there's no way talking to somebody about what we're talking about, you can't read their face to know whether or not they're engaged.
You know, everyone, as I said before, they put on their pants the same way that you do.
Exactly.
So their parents, their sisters, their brothers, they're everything that we are. They're just people. But they are in the position that they are in. They were elected there, and they can change.
Right.
So that's why we voted them in.
And when they see us coming back every year, we're not coming back for the same thing every year.
Correct.
We are helping the community to make the changes that are necessary today. 2
You know-
years ago, we helped with something else. 4 years
Correct.
ago, we helped with something else. This is not an ending cycle. This, unfortunately, is a revolving
You know,
door.
so last year when we first started talking about really patient brokering, whereby someone under the guise of being an interventionist or saying I'm in recovery, I can help you, and send you out of New York State for treatment, to much cause, you know, not everyone comes back from going out of state for treatment. So they're being sent to facilities, you know, that are not as good as maybe the
Right.
facilities are here. But more important too, you know, as a family member, when you're struggling here and you know that your child is safe, whether they're in Florida or Arizona, California, you get to sleep for 28 days, that's worth its weight in gold too.
Right.
But there's a big but that's going to come with that. Families are equally as important in your loved one's journey to recovery. So you all need to be walking this walk together,
Right.
separately but together, because you have to come
Right.
through this together.
You need to take that 28 days
Yes.
and prepare yourself for day 29.
Correct.
And you need to take that 28 days and know that you are emotionally there for that son, daughter, loved one,
And
no matter who
you
it is.
want to go and visit them.
Right, right.
You know,
And, you know, we both know, when you're in that crisis and you're looking for someone to help you, it's really easy to say yes to the person that pats you on the back and says, I'm going to get you through this no matter what, and it's not going to be so hard. Yeah, that's not necessarily true. I want to know that the person who's patting me on the back is going to follow the regulations, is going to make sure that my loved one is getting the support and the treatment that they need, and not just saying, don't worry, we'll take care of it.
In a
Or you get the
supervised
$30,000
facility.
worth of bills,
Right.
and this person says to you, don't worry, they'll write it off. Are you kidding me?
right. So that being said, so patient brokering, you know, is some people that are capitalizing on substance use disorder and making a living by it. So being sent out of state, we have 12 addiction treatment centers that are run by the state of New York, that you can get treatment any day of the week, whether you have insurance or whether you don't have insurance. So the general public doesn't know that.
Right.
So we need to make people aware of that. However, that being said, in Albany, our elected officials didn't know that unscrupulous things were being done in the community under recovery.
The last time I was in Albany with a group, I was with a mom whose son had passed away that month, was taken by handoff. We'll take care of him. Don't worry. We're going to go down there with him. We're going to be there for him. No matter what, we'll be there. They left on, let's say it was a Saturday. They signed him in to where, they went down with him. Won't say they didn't. They signed him into wherever he was going. And then on Facebook, there was that same person sitting by the pool at the hotel. Oh, a day of rest. A day of rest. never saw that child again. And neither did that mom. So it's a facade. We're
Yes.
not, we're falsely making people feel comfortable with something that's unscrupulous.
Correct.
So how can we, as advocates, how can we sit back and let that happen?
We can't.
So I know the government, there are people in OASIS and there's people in the government cycle that realize it. So now let's go up there and say, this cannot happen.
This cannot happen.
This
It needs
cannot
to be a
happen.
bill. It needs to be a law. There needs to be punishment.
Right? You cannot take advantage of people's crisis, and that's what they're doing, is
You know,
taking advantage of a
and
crisis.
Unfortunately, in a crisis, I mean, we all
You'll
struggled.
take anything.
You'll take anything, but we all struggled through Sandy, Hurricane Sandy here. And look how many people were duped, right, by contractors that took their hard-earned money and never fixed their house.
They smiled
So
their way in
now-
the door, and they smiled their way out the door with your money.
Yes.
And-
Same thing, but on a much greater, you know, a house isn't going to die with the
Exactly.
wrong plywood.
Right.
But when they take your child away to a facility that is not overseen by the New York State Department of Alcohol and Substance Abuse and or certified by them and audited by them, you know,
Exactly. And you know, there's the whole issue where families are saying, well, he has to get out of here. He can't be here. Agreed. You cannot necessarily
And I
stay
sit on the
in
board
the same neighborhood.
5
But go
hours
upstate.
from here.
Right. Go
Saranac
upstate.
Lake.
It's a car ride away.
Yes.
You can still go and visit. But he's far enough away, she is far enough away to say, I'm out of my element. I'm
Correct.
changing my people, places, and things. And you know what? Maybe that person's going to come out of treatment, however long the treatment is, and start their life in a different area.
correct?
You know, when your children get older and they get married and their careers take off,
Yeah.
they don't necessarily stay in the same state.
Correct.
So, and that's good, that's great. Well, it's great for a person in recovery to find their right fit in the right area. If it's back home, great.
Great.
If it's 5 hours away, great. If it's 3 states away, great. But I want to know that that person was treated properly and
Correct.
got the treatment that they needed, not got duped into, oh, come to sunny Florida.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're going to go in for 28 days, and then we're going to get you sober living right on the beach.
Right.
And you'll be on the beach, you'll be playing volleyball, you'll be swimming in the ocean, it'll be the best thing.
It's kind of almost like a military recruiter.
Exactly. Right.
So, you know, you always have to know. So there are, what I really want to reinforce is there's a community of people that can help you get through this crisis, that can hold your hand through the crisis, that can get you the very best care, whether it be, you know, co-occurring disorders,
Right.
a little bit of mental health along with an addiction. There are plenty of people right here in your own backyard.
Educated people.
Educated people,
Professionals.
yes, with ethics.
And if you're finding that unscrupulous person is approaching you,
Report
contact
them.
us.
Yes.
Contact us. We'll help you report them. You don't have to take your time out of your crisis time. Just give me a call. Call Thomas's Hope. Call FIST. Call LICAD. Call Thrive. They'll report it for you. They'll follow through
Yes.
for you because we know who to contact.
This again, we don't want anybody else in our club.
Right. Right.
No one should join that club.
And it shouldn't
And
be
we
a
want,
heartache to have
correct,
to
find
the
good
right,
treatment.
right, exactly. It should not
Find
be
the
difficult.
appropriate level of care for the, you know, where you're at right then and there.
Not to say that, you know, a person's not going to come up and be that sunshine that you're looking for and send you to the right place, too. There are those people who are legitimately working, and I can think of a
I can think
handful
of
of
it,
them
yes.
on the top of my head. But when they tell you what the treatment is going to involve, they're telling you the truth. They're not telling you everything is going to be rosy and
Right.
your recovery is going to be, you know,
Easy.
easy, or your recovery is 100% guaranteed.
Life isn't
It's
100%
possible.
guaranteed.
Right. It takes hard work. It's not sitting on the beach. It's work, and it's family work, and it's individual work.
Correct.
But
It's all worth it in the end.
right, and you need to know there are the people that can come and hug you into it. But it's it's not really that difficult to recognize the people who are in this for profit and they don't have their heart in it. Ask
Correct.
people, what's your background? What are your credentials? Before you sign a piece of paper that says, yeah, I'll go to Florida. Ask them, can you show me your
What-
credentials?
And or I don't want them to go out of state.
Right.
What in-state facility that
Is
is run
possible.
by New York State do you have availability to? And if they say none, then you know
Then something's wrong.
something's wrong.
Call Oasis.
Correct.
Call Oasis. They
There
will
is,
give
you
you
know-
a plethora of treatment centers.
There, and here's where we get into, it's wonderful when you can really get somebody on the phone that can really walk you through the steps. However, if you go to the Oasis website, they have a bed locator. on
And there are beds available.
Yeah, and there are beds available. Maybe not close to you. Maybe you're going to have to drive 2 hours, 3 hours. That's okay. There's a bed available for you, though.
Right.
So there's never not a bed available in New York State.
I
They
think
will make a bed available for
parent,
you.
if I was told that we can help your son and he has to go to Texas for help, I don't know that I could live through that flight of not hearing from my son while he's on a plane to when he lands. Would I drive him 5 hours? I would.
Yeah.
Would I let him get in a car with somebody from the treatment center to drive him to the treatment center? I would, because I know I can get in touch with him if I have to. So it's not about me, not that I have to be in touch with him, but there's something to be said for
There's a
keeping that
comfort
treatment
level. Yes.
within a zone that I know is regulated.
Yeah.
And I know the treatments are there, and I know there's bed availability because the brokers, I like to call them poachers, will tell you, oh, there's no beds available in New York. Not true.
And because one treatment facility says there's a 2-week wait, doesn't mean that, the other 400 are going to say the same thing, because that's just not true.
And there's nothing wrong with saying to that treatment facility, okay, you don't have a bed, who does?
Who does?
Because you know what, it's unprofessional if you don't recommend another place that can help me today.
Correct.
As opposed to 2 weeks from now. So.
Because people are
I would
dying
hope-
in that
right,
interim of time.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
we, believe it or not, we just have a few seconds left. Tomorrow evening, Thursday evening, Thrive in Hauppauge. If you need the directions or anything else, we'll get them for you. Go for the advocacy training,
6:30.
6:30 to 8:30. Best 2 hours of your life, and I'm sure they'll have snacks there. Tuesday, get on the bus. Comac Road at the Park and Ride, right off the LIE Service Road in Suffolk County, and in Nassau County at Christopher Morley Park. There's a number up there, 516-316-6387. That's for Anthony Rizzuto. You can call him. You can register right online. Do it. You know what? Get involved. Make your voice heard. And if your voice can't be heard, stand and hold somebody's hand who wants their voice heard. Have a
No
great
charge.
No charge. No charge. Just bring your snacks. Always need snacks on the bus. Thank you, Terry, for joining me this evening.
Anytime.
Have a great, blessed weekend and enjoy.